Thank you, everyone, for coming today. This is a special day here in the city of Boston, and you'll find out in a minute as far as the announcing of the USS Thomas Hudner commissioning announcement in the city. I want to thank everyone that's with me today here. I want to thank a special thank you to Captain and Medal of Honor recipient Tom Kelly, who's with us today. I want to thank Giselle Sterling, Commissioner of our Veterans Affairs Office, City Councilor Eddie Flynn, obviously Tom Hudner III, Tommy Lyons, and a bunch of other folks that came in today. Captain Hudner passed away last November, so he could not be with us today. And I just wanted to, this is an incredible honor for the city of Boston. The USS Hudner will be commissioned here on December 1st at the Raymond L. Flynn Cruise Port Terminal at Black Falcon Pier in South Boston. It's a brand new Navy destroyer named after a true Massachusetts hero. He's an American hero, but also a Massachusetts hero. I'm proud to offer the city of Boston's full support. The commissioning of the Navy ship embodies the deepest values of tradition, and this is one of the highest, other than the Medal of Honor maybe, and Tom, you can correct me, one of probably the highest honors somebody can get. It's an opportunity that we celebrate our military. It's an opportunity to explain the hard work, the courage, and the innovation of our military personnel here in the United States of America. It's an opportunity to reflect on the service and sacrifice of a person and an individual while thinking about all of our military personnel. It's an opportunity to connect to history and preserve the tradition as we move forward in this progress. As we all know, Boston has a very proud history of military history in our city, especially naval tradition due to Boston Harbor. The South Boston Seaport hosted a Navy ship in that yard for much of the 20th century. Medal of Honor Park is nearby in South Boston, where we have a remembrance every single year, several actually during the year, and the Mass Fallen Heroes Memorial is down on the South Boston waterfront. The USS Constitution and the USS Cassin Young are docked in our harbor at Charlestown, and the last Saturday on October 13th was the U.S. Navy's anniversary, and it's 243 years old, and I want to say happy birthday to the Navy for that. This will be a celebration also tomorrow at the USS Constitution Museum. Boston is the right place at this time to continue the tradition and value and service of what we're doing here today. What we're honoring is we're honoring the life of Captain Tom Hudner. I'm not going to go too much into his history because I don't know everything about his history. His son does. But probably about, I was saying this a minute ago, about 3 months ago, I had Rick Kelleher in here for a meeting. He owns the Boston Harbor Hotel, and he started talking about his friend Tom, and he started telling me about his story. And I knew a little bit about the story, but I didn't know all the story. And when I got home a couple days later, there was a book in my house, and the book's name was Devotion. And I got the book on a Thursday. On Friday, I started to read the book. On Saturday night, afternoon, I finished the book. It was an amazing story about a young man from Fall River, Massachusetts, that joined the Navy. He flew. He was a pilot, Navy pilot, and his story goes on to tell, and I won't go much more, but it went on to tell his sacrifice to our country and to an individual during a very turbulent time during race relations in the United States of America, and truly was an American hero in all senses of the word American. He served his country with distinction. He risked his life to help a fellow airman. He served as a Commissioner of Veteran Services for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts from 1991 to 1999, and we remember him as Captain Hudner. And we can also, we honor the courage and sacrifice not only of Tom, but of his entire crew, because during his time, he lost many of his friends in battle when they were fighting in Korea. And this ship, I think, is for as much as for them as it is for him and his family. And it's an honor to have Tom's son here with us today. And he's going to speak in a minute. But first, I want to turn the microphone over to Captain Tom Kelly, our Medal of Honor recipient, another one of our Medal of Honor recipients from here in Massachusetts and Boston. Tom.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor. I just want to let you know that about an hour ago, the USS Thomas Hudner got underway from Newport, Rhode Island, on her way down to Norfolk. Get to Norfolk on Monday, and then proceed to her home port of Jacksonville, Florida, arriving there next week sometime. But she'll be coming back to Boston, arriving here about the 26th of November, a Monday, and the ship will be commissioned 4 or 5 days later, December 1st, down at Mayor Flynn Terminal down there. I want to first of all thank the mayor for the incredible support from the city of Boston for this whole commissioning evolution. It includes the Boston Police Department, Fire Department, EMS, Transportation, across the board. Everybody has just said, what can we do to help you? And they've done a magnificent job. Everything seems to be on track. The generosity of the citizens of the city and some private companies in the city has been extraordinary, because we needed to raise some money to have something for the crew to do while they're here. Well, they're going to do some really nice things. They're going to see sporting events. They're going to do outreach. They're going over to the New England Center for Homeless Veterans and work there for a while. They'll be making school visits, and there'll be general visiting on the ship sometime during the week. A detailed schedule will be coming out in a couple of weeks. But I just want to reiterate once again what a magnificent tribute this is to what a magnificent American. I had the pleasure of being on the ship 2 days ago for lunch and a tour of the ship down in Newport, and I can tell you it's an extraordinary crew, motivated, dedicated. You would be really proud of them. And Captain Hudner, looking down, I know he's really proud of them also. So thanks very much, and see you in December.
My first press conference, so
Don't worry about it.
I'm a little nervous. On behalf of my late father, retired Navy Captain Tom Hudner, and our entire family, I want to very sincerely thank Mayor Walsh, Governor Baker, the City of Boston, and the members of the Commissioning Committee for their extensive efforts and support of the ship and the December 1st commissioning event. My father was a very humble and understated man, one who deflected praise and attention. He did not feel that his actions in North Korea in December 1950 that earned him the Congressional Medal of Honor were extraordinary, though many of us would disagree. When asked why he chose to crash land his own plane behind enemy lines in the snow and ice in the mountains of the Chosin Reservoir in an attempt to save his downed wingman, he would respond with, "I was just doing my job," or "it was the right thing to do," or "if I hadn't done it, someone else would have." Indeed, it was an incredibly heroic and selfless act, though my father would note that throughout our country's history, there have been countless acts of unselfish heroism, most of which went without witness or recognition. My father was extremely proud of his country, the United States Navy, his fellow servicemen and women, and his home state of Massachusetts. All of those elements are honored through this ship, as is the legacy of Ensign Jesse Brown, my father's fallen wingman and the nation's first African-American naval aviator, and a true hero in his own right. For my unassuming father to be the namesake of a 510-foot, 10,000-ton U.S. Navy destroyer was an honor that was almost beyond comprehension. During the past few years before he passed away, my father was fortunate to visit Bath Iron Works several times and to meet the men and women who were building the ship, and to also meet many members of the ship's crew who now serve aboard her. While they were inevitably excited and honored to meet my father, he was equally excited and honored to meet them. As my father would be the first to note, this ship and the event on December 1st are about much more than him and his life and service. As a family, we are honored to participate, and we are deeply grateful to Mayor Walsh and the City of Boston for hosting the commissioning of the USS Thomas Hudner. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom, and I honestly would encourage everybody here and anyone who watches this to get a copy of Devotion and read the book. It's an absolutely inspirational book. It shows you, when we talk about the greatest generation, it's a story of the greatest generation and the courage that they had. Just simple kids from different neighborhoods all over America that went on to do incredible things. So it's an honor to be here today and part of this press conference and then the commissioning on the 1st. Any questions from the press on this topic? No questions? Not yet. You will. Read the book. And I want to thank all the staff here at City Hall that came out today for this announcement today. So thank you.